Mo, if you could kindly just share this in the Discord and stuff, that would be great.
On it.
Yeah, I've sent out a tweet as well, letting the
Oh,
people
amazing.
know.
Let the people know. It's Friday. Welcome, everyone. I'll just wait for some people to tune in. Oh, there's some people coming in already. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, people. How's it going? Hope you're enjoying your Friday. We're back again with the weekly vol. We're going to be talking all things to do with markets. I see some people here already. How's it going, Mr. Vector? Nice to see you. Yeah, we're going to be talking all things markets again. What's been going on? We've had some volatility, some interesting things happening. And joined today by, I think, one of CT's best traders, actually, a real underrated trader that I think deserves 100 extra followers that he currently has.
Yeah, you're being very generous.
No, I'm not. I'm being serious. I'm being serious. Really one of the most underrated traders around. So yeah, happy to have Shmosby on the show today. So yeah, how's it going, man? Glad to have you here.
Oh, glad to be here. I think appreciate you having me on, and hopefully I can live up to the very good intro that you just gave me.
So look, at IVX, I think lots of you coming in right now. I see there's like almost 100 of you tuning in already. It's great to see you all. Look, IVX, we're here. We're all traders here, and we've got one of the best traders that I think around. So this is one of your best opportunities to ask specific questions, and you'll get some high quality answers. So looking forward to it. Joined again as always with Mo. Look, the fans are already here, Shmosby. The fans are already here.
Oh, nice.
The IVX community rates you very well. So
No, I appreciate it. I appreciate the love.
good to have you here. Right. Anyway, join again as always with my co-host Mo. How's it going, man? What have you been trading recently? Would love to know.
Hey, how's it going, man? For the last week, I've actually been diving a little bit into some like short-term scalps on Bitcoin and Solana, and like also a little bit of AI agent
Yeah, I
trading.
think that AI agents definitely been the thing that I've been playing around with a lot. What about you, Shmesby?
Definitely.
Like in the last week or so, what have you been trading? I know you've got a very specific trading style, but yeah.
Yeah, so I think we've had some good volatility over the last few days and weeks, really, I guess. I think most recently was after the headline with the US government coins getting approved for sale. So we saw some obviously downward movement there. Mainly been focused on majors at the minute. Like you said, and I'm sure most are aware, I'm mostly focused on leverage trading on kexes. So primarily, focused in that arena. And to be honest with you, the conditions, I think we had a chat about this a few days ago. Many of the traditional altcoins, talking like other L1s outside of ETH and Sol, a lot of the ETH coins, a lot of, for example, stuff like Aptos, say, many, and all the meme coins that are listed on Kexes have all absolutely been, in their own kind of mini bear market. So I think the conditions for majority of altcoins actually have been quite poor. But then you look at AI agents, like you said, some of the other AI coins performing very well. And now one new trend I think this cycle that we have noticed is Kexes are very proactive with their listings. So to answer your question, mainly been focused on majors, but also doubling in some of the new listings, which are very volatile.
We had a new listing today actually, which is why I pulled this up. AI XBT, which got listed on Binance today. I think went from like 400 million or like 380 million to like 560 million, like 50% rise in like a matter of a couple of hours. Well, any thoughts around that from both of you? Maybe Shmosby, you go first and then Mo after.
Yeah, sure. So actually, I think we had the Binance spot listing, and I think we've had many listings now over the last few months. So it's easy to see initially the price action around listings was slightly different, I would say, a few months ago. And I think as people slowly get conditioned into listing equals, let's ape this candle straight away, because it goes up. I think over time that slowly the market, sort of, it's always learning, isn't it? So I think that edge eroded over the last few months, and now futures listings are actually quite bearish. So if you look at a lot of coins when Binance futures listed, they maybe had like one impulse, a couple of percent, and then after that it was down only. So for example, I think if you look at Cerebro on the Binance futures chart, it's I don't think this had like one green day yet. And there's a few others as well that I think you can point to. I think earlier on Tao as well with Binance futures topped that kind of. I don't think it's ever actually traded above that price now. So yeah, exactly. Yeah, the chart does tell the story. But today, obviously, we saw a Binance spot listing, and I think those are materially different to perps. I think once Binance lists a coin on spot, the way I see it, and I don't know whether it's the correct way of seeing it or not, but it's almost like they've put a small stake on it, and said like if it's available on spot in our exchange, then it's the price action is not it's not just going to die essentially. Whereas with perps, I think anything's free game. I think perps is just, let's list it because there's volume, let's list it because there's people want it, and there's no interest in any cabal holding up the
Yeah, it
price
makes sense,
essentially.
and I guess you can short the market and kind of that's probably what we've seen with Cerebro. Maybe that's the case. I really wonder, like sometimes I wonder like why they pick specific assets as futures listings and also like spot listings. I'm sure there's a lot of intricacies and complexities behind it, but I find some of the choices quite bizarre at times. Like Cerebro, it's certainly a big coin, but kind of having futures markets for this before maybe some of the leaders in the AI space is I find that quite strange sometimes. But I guess just the game that these centralized exchanges play, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the most interesting listings was I'm trying to remember it now. It was AI coin, and I think it was literally dead.
Act.
I think it was Act,
Ah, yeah,
maybe.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, Act. Yeah, and that was from what I remember was absolutely like just forgotten about, and uh, there's no activity there, and out of nowhere it got a Binance spot listing straight away, and I think it sent from literally peanuts. I think it was 7 figures market cap, maybe it was about
From 20
low eight
million to
figures, and
like
then it just went up.
700,
Yeah,
800, I think.
yeah,
I think it clipped 1 bill
yeah,
actually.
exactly.
It did
Yeah.
actually surpass everything in AI. It flipped GOAT momentarily.
Yeah, it flipped gold. That was, yeah. I remember that. That was yeah, it was insane, and it didn't make any sense because it wasn't like any of the other coins where people were talking about it regularly, and a lot of volatility and a lot of volume. It just, I don't know, maybe someone in the Binance team had heavy bags that they needed to unload, but it was
Yeah,
inexplicable to me.
yeah. Um,
So I think you're definitely right about that. It's interesting. What would you say is a coin that you think deserves a Binance listing, which doesn't currently have
Probably
one?
would be like one of the in the agent space. Probably would be like the top mindshare assets. So I think AXBT eventually was going to get one. I'm surprised that Virtuals hasn't got a Coinbase or even Binance listing. No, actually, maybe they have Binance, but I'm surprised.
I think Virtual's got a spot listing today
I'm
potentially
oh, fine. I'm
with
surprised that
AXBT.
Coinbase haven't gone for the market leader in the agent space. The highest market cap agent coin. Surprised that hasn't happened. And also, I'm AI 16Z as well. I think has really shown that it is one of the leaders in the space. Surprised that
Yep.
hasn't had anything yet either. But I'm sure they will in due time. The attention.
I think once they have a futures listing, it's a lot of the incentive to do anything is not really there, because I think that the volumes
Yeah.
that provides is quite significant. I think the spot listing after is only once they're sure that these coins are potentially here to stay. Otherwise, I think probably the cost of sorting out spot listing and the benefit after in the long term probably just doesn't work out, because I think that, like for example Pina and Mudeng and Chill Guy, if all of these got spot listings, and then you're looking at the charts now, and the volumes and the mind share, and it's all created, right? I think with I mean, I'm not saying that the same thing is going to happen to all the AI agent leaders. But I think for Binance or for other big exchanges, it's more of a let's wait and be sure rather than let's gamble and list.
Yeah, makes
Essentially.
sense. Makes sense. Mo, do you think there's any specific coins that you think deserve a spot listing at the moment?
I think as you mentioned, like the ones with the top mindshare should definitely be getting these Binance or Coinbase listings, and yeah, I think like the way they listed the AI XPT today was very spot on. But I do think that Coinbase should list AI XPT because it's the leading AI coin on Base, and Base is the Coinbase chain, so it should definitely get listed there eventually. And also like the way Shmosby like explained the entire futures listing versus spot listing was definitely spot on, because you can date it back to the day they listed the act on spot, act, and it was act and peanut on the same day, and then they started listing more and more coins, and like eventually the market started adapting to these listings. And when you see a Binance listing, like it slowly started to lose the hype, like the and
Yep.
as you said, when they listed AI 16Z, like they listed the AI 16Z on futures, and it was the day it also topped. So yeah, now it's like the market is adapting to the way, whether they get a spot listing or a perps listing.
Yeah, interesting. Let's see where this kind of space goes right now. Shemazbi, are you actively trading any specific like agent coin or any coins in the agent narrative?
Yeah. So actually, I think yesterday I was scalping Cerebro. Didn't end up like really paying much. I ended up closing for break even. I think maybe some loose change essentially. I was hoping that if you look at the daily, it's essentially come all the way
Yeah.
down, yeah, all the way down to like the 250 million market cap almost, or 300 million market cap right now. So I thought we'd potentially at least get some mean reversion, but I think it's maybe there's just no mind share there. Maybe I think there's other coins like AIXBT and Graphane and a few of the others which are potentially more um, of more interest to participants. I think, to be honest, there's a lot to think about with these new coins, and I like the volatility. I like the price action, but for example, I think at these market caps, um, it can easily be cannibalized. I think that's the main thing. So, like for example, if a new launch is happening on Solana with a very hyped agent, then I'm sure we'd see pullbacks on all of these current hot favorites. And I think when I'm trading other coins on kexes, I don't really have to think about things to that kind of level. I'm just more focused on the price action, the funding, futures, looking at BTC as a correlation. Whereas with this stuff, you have to be more aware of what's hot. Is this still the flavor of the month? Because you don't want to be the one holding the bag at the
Yeah,
end, I
no, I
think.
completely agree, and I think like that's why perhaps there's like a different kind of edge that you need to really trade these assets more. I mean, for someone who was like kind of early to the agent meta, they might have just gone all in on goat and thinking goat is the leader, goat is like had all of the mind share to begin with. But you're absolutely right, like the space moves so fast, people can just launch tokens like that with infra like pump fund now, and that creates a lot of fragmentation. And like if you look at goat now, it doesn't have anywhere near that amount of mind share. So yeah, I think that's a really really good point there, definitely.
Yeah, I think you're right. Goat is actually probably one of the best examples you can use because, I mean, that was the hype whilst that was running up to. I think it hit a bill, right? Yeah, it
Yeah.
hit more than a bill. It hit like 1.1 bill. I think the hype at that point was, it was really strong, and I think people were talking about, yep, just allocate to the leader. Leaders are gonna, continue leading, etc., etc., etc. And then I think whether it was Fartcoin or whether it was AIXBT, one of the two, maybe another coin that I'm forgetting about, but they came in, they took the mind share, and goat's probably just going to trend to zero, I think, very slowly. So yeah, I think this market, you have to be very on top of what's currently going on. It's not rewarded. I think diamond handing kex coins at all. Obviously, it's a different story. If you're able to get into these coins at 7-figure market cap or at 8-figure market cap, and play them all the way up. But I think by the time that they're reaching Bybit, by the time they're reaching Binance, you have to be obviously the risk reward is different, and I think you have to consider a multitude of factors as to whether this is the future of finance, or it's just the future of
Yeah,
finance right now.
absolutely, absolutely. Completely agree. We've got some comments about you actually. If Shmosby looks any different from Ted, I'll be disappointed. I think he looks exactly like Ted. And we've got subs here as well. You're definitely watching some famous people.
Oh, nice.
Just gonna answer this question. First time in IVX Live. Welcome. There's almost 500 of you right now, so awesome to see you guys. Do you guys discuss general crypto markets or bear chain ecosystem specific discussions? We discuss all things related to markets. So yeah, come tune in all the time. Good to have you here. Okay, so we talked a little bit about agents and kind of what we think is going on in that space. But let's go back to the elephant in the room, which is Bitcoin, which has had quite a bit of volatility over the last day or so. I think today the stock market's kind of gone down because of job reports, I believe. Mo, starting with you, what were your thoughts about it, and where do you think Bitcoin goes in the short term?
Uh, Let me just open up the Bitcoin chart. Yeah. So, like with Bitcoin, I do believe that we can eventually hit somewhere between like 80 and 85, even though it sounds bearish, but like I wouldn't say it's bearish at all. It would be just like a 25% retracement from the all-time high. Though I wouldn't like. I would hope that we would bottom somewhere around 85 because I definitely have some stables around and I definitely want to like deploy them. But I would definitely be keeping an eye out for Ethereum rather than Bitcoin, like Ethereum and Solana, rather than allocating money to Bitcoin.
So you really think that Bitcoin's got a lot more retracement potentially coming? Of course, nothing is financial advice. I mean, what do we know? We're just some random guys on the internet. But I think, are you thinking if we break this level where we're at right now, we could drop a lot further?
The thing is, it wouldn't be considered a lot further. Like an extra 5 to 10% isn't that much. Like it would be a normal correction because like looking back at all these previous cycles, like you would have multiple 20 to 30% retracements all the time, and Bitcoin would still run up to new all-time highs after. So it
Yeah,
wouldn't be that like odd, but yeah, definitely I'll be ready to deploy some money there. Even now, like I was very tempted to deploy some stables like a few hours ago, but I was still a bit like scared to do it.
yeah. I mean, to be fair, what you're saying is a 20% correction, which in the grand scheme, we've seen worse than that in previous markets, in previous cycles, I should say. Last cycle, I think we saw 30% corrections quite regularly. There was one day in May that I remember we had a massive nuke on BTC, and I think a lot of alts went down like 50% in a day and ended up correcting and doing multiples after that. I don't think we've seen that. We haven't seen that deep of a correction on Bitcoin in a while. Sure, we have these 10% dips and things like that from time to time, but having seen yet to see like a other than kind of what we had in March, April time last year, yet to see really
The
see
one in
that
August.
corrections. Yeah. Shmesby, what do you think like about kind of the space with Bitcoin right now, and where you think things will go? Trump inauguration coming pretty soon as well. How are you thinking about it?
Yeah, so I think BTC right now, yeah, ranging between 93 and 100 is what's currently happened over since, I think, let's have a look, since maybe December now. and most of
Yep.
obviously halfway through and mid December to now, essentially it's literally just been chop from like 105 to 90, 93, 105,
Yep.
93, that kind of thing. And I was hoping actually, my initial base case was for Bitcoin to do this, and in this time, ETH and alts would all kind of catch up, and BTC dominance would drop, and ETH BTC probably goes up a bit, and alts have a very nice window from mid-December all the way through to potentially like February, March. And I think initially we had a couple of days in early Jan where that it did look good. Also we're doing, I think that they bounced around anywhere between 20 to maybe even 50% from their lows, from the start of the year to maybe the first week. And then BTC kind of tanked a bit again from mid 100 back to 93. And I think it's a ranging market. But what I didn't expect was for alts to essentially just retrace all of their gains and come back to the lows. Essentially, they were a lot weaker than I anticipated, and this obviously when we're talking about alts, that includes ETH. I think if ETH held up more than it actually has, then the broader altcoin market would have done the same. But unfortunately, that's not been the case. So at the moment, where whilst 93 holds, that's okay. I At the moment, I'm agreeing with Mo. To be honest, I wouldn't be surprised to see 85k at some point, and depending on what the headlines are, if there are any headlines, even 80k is potentially on the table. Um, I like Mo said, that is not that much of a dip from the high, in terms of percentage. I think that'd probably take it to, like you said, watch 25% roughly. And we had a 33% dip from the high to the low. Um, Obviously, it was over a few months, but it was a 33% correction, from 75k roughly to 50k,
Yep.
over 2024. Then essentially doubled from 50 to 100k. So 25% is not, it doesn't mean it's the end of the world. It doesn't mean the bull market's over. I think it's important to be prepared for 85, and I think to have some stables ready for that scenario. The only question that I have in my mind is, if we do get 85, like, where does that take some of these altcoins? And I think it takes them to prices which are potentially like bear market prices for some things. And I just struggle to see a market where BTC is at such levels, like it's at 80,000, 90,000, 100,000, and some altcoins are literally at prices that are as low as they were in 2022, for example. So I'm still trying to figure that out. But I think for me as a trader, it's mostly about being reactive to things, um, rather than I'm not one to give out cycle tops and cycle bottoms. It's not really my edge. So I think we'll see what we get. But yeah, I think 85 is it's not out of the question. And for what it's worth, I think there's about 30% chance that we may have already topped for a significant amount of time. But that doesn't mean I still believe we go higher. 70% chance that we haven't topped. I think when people say 80% chance we've topped, people focus too
The
much on
negative.
on the negative, but they're not doing the basic mathematics that I'm still believing that it's we go
Yeah,
higher.
interesting. I saw a tweet from Eugene, one of the big traders on CT, kind of talking about his thoughts about the potential of topping. I can't remember what percentage he gave out, but it did cause a lot of drama in the comments, and I think lots of
Even
people did
Ansem.
actually.
And
Yeah, Ansem
Ansem
said
made
it
a
as well.
comment saying like 75%.
Is 75% chance of topping or 25% chance of topping?
75% chance of topping.
Wow,
But
that's
I
that's
don't know
quite
if he
high.
was being like sarcastic.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he was. I'm not sure if he was being sarcastic or not, to be honest. But I think, in reference to Eugene's tweet, he was commenting, I think, on the price action of some of the majors. So if you look at Bitcoin on the daily, you see this the push up to 102k we had just a few days ago. It's very characteristic of a right shoulder, a lower high. So we had our major run up all the way from 50 to all the way to 108k, and then we had we had our dump, and then we had the right shoulder essentially, which is the one that technically you should exit on. And then if we make a new high, no biggie, you've missed out on what, 6k of 5% of the BTC move if we went to 110k for example, and you can always re-enter slightly higher and continue the bull trend. But if we top, then you've sold a significant bounce essentially, and you're in a position then to either rebuy lower or sit out until you feel comfortable. And I think people didn't like the idea that this could be a right shoulder, and I think honestly the price action that we've had, this is a very very clean rejection at 102k, and that's a lot of the reason why I think I have 30% chance that it is. It's not to say it's over, but like the BTC could have put in a top for a very very a long time essentially. And I think if you look at, for example, ETH, you do the same. You go on the daily chart. We had the top at 4k, and then we had the lower high at 3.7, another shoulder. And it's, I think people potentially are unhappy with the gains that they've made so far. And Solana, again, you could look at the same thing, topped out 260, and then we had quite a few lower highs, to be honest, with Solana. But like again, this right shoulder, we bounced from 175 all the way up to 220, and I mean, I'm sure most people didn't exit on that bounce, and um, they don't like the discourse that Pigeon's having. And he didn't say. I think he did clarify that he doesn't. He hopes that we haven't topped, and he's just putting it out there. I think it's worth considering.
Yeah, very interesting point there. Very, very interesting. I think one thing that I will say is that I remember. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Mo. You want to say something?
No, finish. It's fine.
Oh no, I was just gonna say like what I find interesting is like even last cycle when Bitcoin topped, like there was still like some mania in the rest of the market. Even though Bitcoin had topped, like there was still NFT stuff happening. There was still, I mean, assets like Luna
Metaverse.
went on to do another 2x. So I think there's still like some possible a mania in the market, even if this probability of the market topping, this chatter that people are having, I think doesn't mean that there's not going to be opportunities anymore. I think the mania continues for a while.
Yeah, definitely. I think, when people say, when someone says, "Oh, I think BTC is topped," then people automatically jump to the conclusion that means that, they can't make any money anymore. And like you said, some of the most lucrative periods do come when BTC is topping. So I think you can point to December 2017, BTC topped. Jan 2018 was one of the best all seasons that ever existed. I think. Obviously, I wasn't trading at that point, but from what I've heard when I spoke to other people, then you look at 2021. It was BTC topped in April with the Coinbase IPO, but from April all the way to the May nuke, alts were, the opportunity in alts was insane. Again, everything was pumping like double digits every day essentially, and that was a crazy alt season. And then I think with the November top as well, like you said, I think that was around the time that Luna and obviously the AVAX and Sol and everything was making new highs, and again alts were doing very very well at that time, and BTC had already topped in November. So like you said, I think there's opportunity regardless of whether BTC has topped or not. One, just to kind of point out a similarity, which maybe some people again wouldn't want to hear, but for example, if BTC is topping or already topped right now, we've had across the last 2 months a very very good AI agent mania. I would say to some degree it is a level of mania, with many coins obviously coming from zero and hitting over 1 billion market cap. I think it's been very lucrative for many people. And in hindsight, potentially in hindsight, in a few months' time, if we have topped, then we can at least look at this period and draw the parallels in
That's
that
really, really
sense.
interesting. I think one thing that people have expected from this cycle is that we see some of the crazy, crazy valuations that we did see last cycle. Dogecoin going to what, 60, 70 billion, Shiba even like flipping Doge, Axie Infinity going to 50 billion. We had I can't remember, ICP launching at 100 billion FDV. Like, people are
Yeah, yeah.
expecting that kind of stuff, and I wonder if we've had that kind of mania just yet. I mean, maybe we have to some extent. Maybe this time's different. We have so much fragmentation, so many new coins on the market. Maybe like we just don't have enough capital that to kind of get to that level again. Wonder what you both of your thoughts are on that.
So, and yeah, in my opinion, I think you touched on one of my thoughts there. Obviously, I think it's two things really, and the main one is fragmentation, like you said. Doge hitting what was it, 70 billion in 2021, but I think in 2021 you could count on one hand how many meme coins there were. I think it was Doge, Shib, and maybe Bonk. I don't know if Bonk was there actually, to be honest with you. So it's like Doge and Shib, and maybe one or two others at that point. So if
Safe Moon. I just
everyone's
remembered it was
bidding,
Safe Moon.
Safe Moon, yeah, of course, yeah, on BSC, yeah, exactly, yeah. So there are, like I said, you can count on one hand the number of meme coins that they were, and I think that really does play into stuff quite a lot. Now we've had a ton of fragmentation. There's 100 memes launching every day, and I think that really does split up the purchasing power of retail and of CT as well. So fragmentation obviously is one key and obvious argument that you could make, that we won't see altcoin valuations like that. The other one would be macro. So I'm far away from being a macro expert or anything of the sort. But I think with the level of stimulus and economic easing that we had during the COVID bull run cycle, retail was suddenly, they were all locked inside. They were all given stimuluses, all the in terms of costs and things that they had. Like, if you're not leaving the house, for example, you got nothing else to do except gamble and bet on stuff and speculate, and then you're given free money on top of that, and what else are you going to do essentially? And I think at the moment, the economy isn't in the same position that it was. I think if you look at the average retail participant, they aren't in the same position financially that potentially they were during the previous cycle. I think there's been a lot more costs and things. For example, speaking broadly in Europe, there was a cost of living crisis as well. I think in America, it's I wouldn't say it's fantastic there either. So I think the broader market is definitely not as conducive to real retail participation. I think, to be honest, that's been CT has been asking, oh, when's retail coming, for quite a long time. And I think we've had these mini alt windows, these mini mania sessions, whether it was with meme coins or whether it was with AI agents. And I think maybe that's the theme of this cycle. You have these mini rotations, and you get multiple coins running from 0 to 1 billion. But maybe there's a ceiling there with some of these things.
Yeah, I think a lot of the audience seems to be agreeing as well. They're saying the same kind of things. Got a few people say they agree with your take there. So yeah, that's kind of how I felt about it as well. Having these like mini bull markets. We've had memes, we've had agents. Perhaps stuff like Beratrain has so much attention and kind of excitement around it that it'll have its own mini kind of bull market. But in general,
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
like I don't think we are going to see a widespread bull market across the board where every altcoin is up 200x on the day, 200% on the day. I think we saw that last cycle. I'm not sure. I think you gave some pretty good reasons there. Mo, what do you think? Do you think there's a chance that we see like some crazy valuations again? I'm not talking about 10 bill. I'm talking about 50 bill or 100 bill, like kind of where XRP and Solana and stuff like that are at today.
I would doubt that, to be honest. Like, we're in the previous cycle, probably rebought this cycle, but into like these VC coins that there were popular like last year, like probably AVAX or Polygon. Like Polygon last cycle did may probably more than 100x.
Yes, it
Like,
did.
yeah,
Yeah.
you could have bought Polygon on Binance and you would have still done 100x. Like, but now Polygon is still very close to the all-time lows, so probably people are still in these VC coins, and I would doubt that we'd get more than 10 coins over 100 billion.
Well, hopefully, hopefully, Berachain can be one of them.
That, I hope.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I think you raise a good point. I think um, we've seen a lot of VC tokens come out. A lot of them where the upside has all gone to the early investors, not really with the public. Maybe that's one of the reasons why the agent coins are like so well known and or like so exciting. Like everyone's finally getting a fair opportunity to like bid this stuff. You could have bought any of these coins: Goat, Cerebro, AIXBT, AI16Z, Griffin, all of these other coins. You could have bought them at sub 10 million market cap. So maybe like this is one of the reasons why this meta is like so popular. Maybe it's also one of the reasons why things like pump fun are so interesting. But in general, if you look at like the actual protocols that are building innovation or building some or bringing something new chains, etc., they're all VC backed. Whether it's Berachain or Monad or Mega ETH, or whether it's the ones that have come out before, like Say and Sui and Aptos, they're all heavily VC backed, and the investors there have made most of the upside. I think that's like a clear difference that I've noticed, this cycle compared to last cycle. There was a chance last cycle where you could have bought like any of those Luna, you could have bought Solana, you could have bought Avalanche, you could have bought Polygon, like any of those coins under 50 million. And they all had like spot listings on centralized exchanges too, which, yeah, again, I think if you see anything of that caliber listing now, it's immediately worth over $1 billion. So yeah, the upside goes to the team and the investors. I think that's just a difference in dynamic. Maybe the market's a little bit more efficient in terms of pricing these things. So yeah, we'll see. So someone's asked what's our thought on Scroll. Again, my personal thought is, look, it's a VC backed chain. I think the VCs are actually down on their investment. That just goes to show like the level of fragmentation that we have. If you're launching a chain today, you can't just launch a general purpose chain. It's just not interesting enough. And like there are so many other factors that I think are important in getting your chain up and ready. Mind share and attention is one, but also an ecosystem. And I didn't think Scroll has either of them. So, I mean, I wish them good luck. I don't have any exposure, but I don't think they have anything particularly interesting. That's my thought anyway. I mean, maybe we can have a quick look at the chart. I don't even know if they've got listings on every single chain, on every single central exchange.
I think they have some, yeah, but I think like you said, I think they messed up with their airdrop as well. I think they shortchanged a lot of people, and they essentially started on the wrong foot with CT, and it didn't go any better from
Yeah.
there.
It's what is worth what 800 million. I think the VCs invested at
Mm.
over 1 bill. So imagine investing like a few years ago, having a cliff and a vest and still being down. You could have just bought Bitcoin
Yeah.
and you would have been chilling. But yeah, that just goes to show how these games are. Right. I think moving on, a couple of things that I wanted to talk about with both of you. Firstly, like, what's interesting to you in the market at the moment? Is there something exciting coming out, or is there something that you think is going to be the next meta, maybe, or maybe you think agents are going to continue? Like, what are your thoughts in terms of what's interesting in crypto at the moment?
Go on, Mo, you go first.
Go on, Mo.
Yeah, so in my opinion, like 2025 will be dominated by the AI sector, So I'll be like definitely looking into AI agents, AI like projects, builders, and all that stuff. But like there will be definitely like small sectors to focus on, and I think this quarter it will be related to Parachain. So like whether memes on Parachain, NFTs, DeFi protocols, like the opportunity will be on Parachain potentially this Q1 and Q2.
Fair enough. What do you think, Shmazvi?
Yeah, I think we'll continue to have similar price action to what we've had over the last year. So mini windows of mini metas even for different sectors. I think AI will probably be a prevailing theme all the way through 2025. I don't see that going away at all. I think with AI coins, the main risk is, I think, like I said. There's always going to be a smarter agent or a new kind of advancement because AI is moving so quickly. So you have to make sure that you're not married to the coin that you have bags in. And for example, when the next hot thing launches, the next hot AI launches, AI coin launches, you're willing to recognize that your current holding has lost its mindshare. For example, you could look at Tau as well. Tau has it did really really well for a long time, and maybe it comes back. It's not to say it's going to zero or anything like that, but I think there's a lot of opportunity cost that went into holding it. And I think, for example, if you rotated it into any of the AI agent coins at any reasonable point, you would have been up quite a bit. But I think obviously some of the Tau holder basis is very committed to the fundamentals, and I respect that as well. But I think, in my opinion, it's always good to be reactive, even because I think situations are always changing, right? There's always new information coming to light. It's you have to be dynamic in the market. For example, just because in 2020, in 2024, or in 2023, Tau was it was the bee's knees. Doesn't mean that in 2025 it's still going to keep its number one spot. I mean, I think that's partly why, for example, ETH has underperformed, and Solana did so well this cycle because everyone complacently thought ETH will do well because it's ETH. And I think we've seen, I guess that's been a theme of the cycle, that Solana's had all the activity, it's had all the mind share, and it's had all the good price action too.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's really important to be kind of flexible and kind of just move. And I guess you made a good point there, really. If something's been a giant or something's been great in the past, it doesn't mean it's going to be great in the future. And I think we see this on all time frames. We've seen it on a longer time frame, perhaps with ETH the asset especially. Maybe on a shorter time frame, we've seen, like, let's say for example, Goat. Like Goat was the number one AI agent coin, and now it's not even in the top 10 for mindshare.
And
So
this
I think,
this also relates to the thing I just mentioned a few minutes. Normies buying into these old VC coins that were popular last cycle.
yeah, because maybe that's what they're used to. Maybe that's kind of where they think like the new sectors are. But really, like, the space moves so quickly that you just got to kind of be a little bit with the trend, I guess.
Yeah, sorry, I realized I didn't even answer. I ended up digressing, but in terms of what I think will do well, I agree. I think Chain will probably be the next, the next hot thing. I think it has plenty of mind share, and all it needs is the first few
Yeah.
launches to do well. And once those do well, that will attract participants to bridge and to bring their money and increase the TVL, and just reflexively um, pump all the coins in the ecosystem. Essentially, I think again, Monad is expected to launch maybe in Q1 or Q2 of this year. So I think that will probably be another hot one. Mega ETH as well, when that launches, that should be good. So I think there's a few new launches which will be very interesting to play. I think they will all contribute to um, whatever the prevailing meta is at the time. Alongside that, I think memes. If this is all on the predication that BTC hasn't, BTC continues doing well, and we haven't topped for the cycle. And if that's the case, if we haven't topped, I think memes will definitely come back. One of GCR's recent predictions was that Murad will, he hasn't had his main character arc yet, and I had to think about that, and I think, I can really get behind that idea, because we saw, we just got a small taste. I think it was maybe a couple of weeks, or maybe a month, where he was on Kaito. He was top by mindshare, significantly ahead of everyone, and he had his little Excel sheet with all of his coins, and his thesis about. I'm not even sure, like the number of holders and compared to the market cap, and cults and that kind of thing, and all of his coins were going vertical essentially, and that only sustained for a couple of weeks. I think, if we continue, if the market continues holding up, and we continue to get good periods, I think there'll be a window very, very well, again, and I think he'll potentially be able to send things to some very, very good valuations.
Yeah, that's interesting. Memes have really fallen off a cliff in recent weeks. I think I just showed the PopCat chart not too long ago. But also things like Pepe are down like 30, 40%, 40% almost. Uh,
With is like down 70%, I think.
Yeah, WIF is
70.
like 1.5 or something. I think one really good tweet I saw on WIF was, if WIF launched today, it wouldn't even break, like, 100 million market cap, and I
Mm,
think that's probably true,
mm,
because at the time, again, there was much fewer memes. Things were heating up. Don't get me wrong, but I think it was relatively. I don't know if some people would think it's funny or it's cute. Or, it had something going for it, and it managed to kind of get out of the pump fun and the dexes and got straight to kex. It had a lot of mindshare on CT. I think if it launched now, it'd just be one in a million dog coins. I don't
mm.
think it would potentially even get to Bybit, for example. It just wouldn't have that mindshare. So I think, again, that's fragmentation kind of really rearing its head.
Yeah, I think keeping an eye out on some of Murad's coins are interesting. I didn't realize that
Yep. Yeah.
SPX hit all-time high just a few days ago. I did
Yeah.
not realize that at all.
Yeah, I think probably that will be, his main coin. I'm guessing. Again, this is not me shilling SPX, but I wouldn't be surprised to see his coins doing very well at some point in the future. I think there might be a Murad meta, so to speak.
Ah, interesting. Well, I think that there's his wallets are publicly doxed. Let's see what he does. Does he front run when he's going to sell? He said October. I think he said Q3 or Q4, like end of Q3 to Q4,
Mm.
is when he's going to sell. I think that will be a very, very interesting time in the meme coin space. And I was just showing before, like some of the mind share for pre-TGE tokens. So you've got Kaito, of course, which is at the top, but also many other chains like Bearer, Monad, Abstract, Story, Mega ETH was mentioned, Nillion. There are quite a few of these that are pretty high up on mindshare. So within these ecosystems or within these tokens, there might be opportunities if they're able to maintain it. But we'll have to wait and see about that. Very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. Last thing that I wanted to cover in this show is talking a little bit about like your trading style and like finding your edge in the market. I think like probably between us three, we probably all have like a different edge on and different way that we like to navigate markets. Mo, I know you mentioned that you like to scout from time to time, and Shmosby, you've got a very different trading style to me as well. How do you find your trading style? How do you find what works well for you? Maybe Shmosby, you want to go first?
Yeah, I think, how do you find what works well for you is a good question, and I think it's uh, it's time in the market, and often that can be, it's an expensive way to learn, but I think it's potentially one of the best or only ways. Is you just have to keep iterating your process. You have to try a number of different things out, and you're going to be losing money, or you're going to realize, like, this is not it's not conducive to your mentality or your mindset, and you're gonna have to just keep reiterating until you can find a style, a venue, an arena which it suits your skills, it suits your mentality as well, and it suits your risk profile too. So I mean, obviously that depends on what risk you're willing to take on. It depends on your size as well, because certain arenas aren't suitable for certain sizes, and it depends on your mentality, because I think, for example, leverage trading, it's not it's not for everyone. And to be honest, it's not for most people. I think majority of people trading on leverage lose money, and I think they would potentially be better off trading maybe on chain. Maybe some people who are trading on chain and losing money might be better off trading leverage. My advice would be to really give each area a go, and figure out whether this is for you. And once you settle in an arena, then you have to just iterate your process. So, for example, if you end up trading on a KEX, you go through the different styles, different varieties, and it's tough until it's tough to become profitable. I think it takes time, and it takes a lot of willpower and determination as well. I think you can end up doing the wrong things for quite a long time, and get no rewards, and that can be quite demoralizing. But I think once you realize what works, it's important to stick to what works, and not try and essentially be um, a jack of all trades. So, like, if you figured out that you're good at LTF scalping, why are you trying to swing trade, or why are you trying to trade with size on chain, for example? It doesn't mean don't bridge a single cent out of Binance, and don't take anything on chain. It just means, if you're good at one thing, why aren't you squeezing that for everything that that you have? Essentially, I think people haven't. Sometimes people have a skill or have an edge, but they're not they're not cognizant of that. And I think it's important to be aware of what you're good at. So, kind of just to expand a little bit. For example, I think a lot of attention on my account comes from when I run up a degen account, and part of the reason that I can do that is because I recognize, number one is that the conditions are good, and number two is that the conditions are good for my trading style, and often those two things aren't going to be occurring at the same time. So it's important to make sure that how you trade is conducive to what the conditions are at the time. And when those things line up, it's important to put your foot on the gas, and you can throw out the general risk parameters that you have on a day-to-day, so that you can squeeze as much as you can out of that window. And that's what I do when I run up a degen account, and I think it works quite well.
Yeah, and I think for those of you watching, like, definitely give Schmosby a follow. I think you can really learn a lot about his trading style and some of the things that he's looking at in the market. He's been able to do this multiple times with degen accounts. Really one of the most talented and underrated traders, I think, on CT today. So highly recommend giving him a follow. I think it's Schmosby_XBT. Top, really, really, really good account. And
How long did it take you to do this 20x?
So the most recent one,
1 week.
yeah, I think it was 2. I think it was 2.
What?
2 weeks. Yeah.
Oh, he's being very humble. It took 2 weeks. Yeah, he's honestly a Chad when it comes to trading. Like, honestly, really, really, really high quality. So yeah, I think everyone should go follow him. You can really learn a lot.
I appreciate it, man.
Schmosby, like a few minutes before you joined, I was speaking with the current dip, and I was telling him that I think ETH goes to like 2,900 and Solana to like 165 or 175, and then like we can deploy some heavy stables and maybe open up some leverage swings. What do you think?
Yeah, I think for me, I think so far in this cycle, it's been so hard to swing trade. I think ETH, it's been really difficult. Sol obviously had a very strong trend, so it was a little bit easier to kind of get a good entry in 2024, and then hold on for the long term. But again, now with Sol, we have those really big unlocks coming in a few months. I think it's a couple of billion in unlocks. So I don't really know. I'm not saying I'm bearish on Sol specifically. I think if market does well, Sol continues to do well. But I think that does put me off from at least leverage swinging those positions. In terms of where I would want to swing, I posted a ETH swing, buy 3,000 and sell 6,000. I think that will potentially pay. I'm not sure if I'm going to take it on leverage or if I'm just going to go with spot, because I think leverage trading ETH has been mental illness for the last few months.
Yeah.
So not quite sure if I want to dabble in that at the time. I think I'll see it depends on how we get to 3,000, right? If we just cascade into 3,000, that gives you more confidence in buying. Whereas if we just grind down, then then it's a bit more difficult to kind of put the leverage on. And I think that's it, that we've not had many like real liquidation cascades this cycle. In 2021, we were getting a cascade so regularly. Like it was like you just wait for funding to really overheat, and then alts would just wick down like 25 to 35%, and you just layer those bids, and then it instantly v reverses, and it just keeps doing it again and again. Whereas this cycle, things haven't been as easy. I would say. So in terms of leverage, I'm not too keen. The only way I would
Not
definitely,
even like 2 or 3x leverage.
yeah, I mean, obviously, like I think that depends on on the size of the book, on the individual size of the book, on their risk appetite, and how they plan to play um, the rest of the market concurrently. For me, I think I like to buy spot ETH and then use that as for in the instance, so let's say I want to buy ETH, then I'd buy spot ETH at 3,000, and then use that as a collateral, and then trade perps with the spot ETH collateral. So obviously, when ETH is moving up, then I'm still making gains on the spot, and then I could, for example, long ETH on lower time frames on perps as well, and it obviously kind of double the gains, or however you want to look at it. Still capture the
Yeah,
upside.
you'd be benefiting from like the actual trade and from ETH going up.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the way I like to do it. Again, I think it's a very the options there are very personalized, and I think it's each to their own in that aspect. So I think I'm waiting to see whether we do get 3,000 or sub 3,000 even. In terms of getting really levered, and like holding on, just buying and holding on, I think I'd be looking at prices potentially that no one would want to really discuss, because I think it'd be a very deep wick, and I'd want to see that in the mid 2000s even, and I think it would probably require some very very deep headlines, and it'd be very disgusting at the time to be buying. But at the moment, I think 3,000 is a good spot to look at to put a good amount of stables on, and we can see where we go from there.
Fair enough. Let's see how things go. I think just in the interest of time, I think we'll start wrapping things up. If there are any questions from anyone, like please drop them now. Otherwise, any last things that you wanted to cover or talk about today, Shmosby?
It's a good question actually. Do we have any questions first of all?
Well, we might
Should
get a
we give
couple.
them some time?
We might get a couple. Mo, anything that you want to cover before we wrap things up?
That's it from me, man.
No, I think otherwise, yeah, we got a question like, will it be recorded? Yeah, you can watch this on IVX's Twitter account. We record them and put them on YouTube as well, so you'll be able to watch them later anytime. Yeah, otherwise, honestly, I think Shmosby, it's been a real pleasure to have you on. Like as I mentioned, I think like as a trader, I think you can give some really really great insights, and I think a lot of the IVX community are hardcore traders as well, so I think they definitely like appreciate your takes as well. So I want to say, just nice one for coming on today, and yeah, it's been great having you
Yeah,
on.
it's definitely one of my favorite weekly balls.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate you guys having me on, and hopefully, you guys and the listeners enjoyed it.
Absolutely. Well, to all of you watching at home, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back again next week for another episode. We do this every Friday, so please come and join in. There's lots of stuff happening in the IVX ecosystem right now. Some alpha is stay tuned for next week. I think we've got some cool announcements coming out. And I'm sure many of you know that IVX was included in the RFA. So that means there will be some amazing rewards for all of you who are trading on the IVX terminals once mainnet comes. We're in Q5 now, round the corner. So yeah, very, very excited to have all of you come and join us and enjoy your trading journey with us at IVX. So yeah, shout out to everyone who spent their Friday with us, and we'll see you again next week.